In other news, a local tour company that conducts helicopter tours is suing the federal government for seizing their helicopters without providing any reason behind the search warrants. But the U.S. Attorney's Office says they're not giving the helicopters back because they're part of an ongoing criminal investigation. Exactly what kind of charges Hansen Helicopters could be facing will not be made public for now. In fact, the case is sealed, and the U.S. Attorney's Office isn't saying why they took as much as 15 helicopters. This has struck a chord with Hansen attorney David Lujan, who's now taking the case to court in an effort to get the helicopters and their certificates back. Last October, the U.S. Attorney's Office obtained a search warrant and executed it, seizing several helicopters, 15 aircraft registrations, and their certificates of airworthiness. Most of the helicopters were seized on Guam, but according to court papers, helicopters in Georgia and in the Philippines were also taken. There are a few problems with how this search and seizure was effectuated, notes Lujan, who says that while the U.S. Attorney's Office obtained a search warrant, they never provided the affidavit that explains why a search warrant was obtained in the first place. Another issue, Lujan says, is the fact that the U.S. Attorney's Office seemed to circumvent the Federal Aviation Administration in this process. As an FAA-approved air carrier, Lujan says the FAA would be the authority to enforce any aircraft violations. Quote, here, the FAA has taken no action whatsoever, absolutely none, Lujan said. As a result, Lujan and Hansen manager Kenneth Crow say the company has suffered a major financial loss and has shut down operations. In fact, Lujan wrote in an email to Assistant U.S. Attorney Stephen Leon Guerrero last month, quote, this has not only caused Hansen tremendous financial losses, but also to default on its contracts with various federal agencies, end quote, something Lujan says the U.S. Attorney's Office may not even be aware of. As an example, Hansen was scheduled to provide services to the federal government for a trip to the Northern Mariana Islands of Antahan and Sarigan, but now they'll have to cancel that service. In that same letter, Lujan demanded the return of Hansen certificates and to provide them with an explanation for the search warrant, threatening to file a motion to return property in district court. In response, Leon Guerrero wrote back, quote, feel free to file your motion, end quote. Leon Guerrero explained that they will only be returning a couple certificates. Quote, we will not agree to release the remaining certificates since they relate to the criminal investigation, end quote. As for the affidavit that explains why a search warrant was obtained, Leon Guerrero said, quote, this is a criminal matter in which there is an ongoing investigation. Such production will be made once this criminal matter is filed in court. You can read the motion filed by Hansen Helicopters online at pacificnewscenter.com.